My name is Greg Edwards. I am representing Perma-Fix Environmental Services, headquartered in Atlanta, Georgia, and the owner of Perma-Fix of Memphis, which is a wholly owned subsidiary.
Yes.
The facility is located at 901 East Bodley in Memphis. It's been there for a long time, way pre-record. The facility, when it was operating, was a permitted treatment storage disposal facility and a fuel blending operation. Are you familiar with fuel blending? It's basically taking waste organics, getting the BTU content, water content correct, and selling it to permitted facilities who burn it as fuel.
Yeah.
The facility operated until around 2007, when a decision was made to terminate operations. At that point, we went into, we got to go with TDEC, and we did a final closure of the regular facility and terminated the regular permit, the operating portion of the regular permit. In 2009, we completed a corrective action only permit, which was to deal with the soil and groundwater contamination that remained on the site. At that time, we had, from a soil standpoint, there were 10 solid waste management units that had been identified from historical operations. We had done sampling of the soil, identified that there were exceedances, and they were identified for cleanup in that corrective action permit. There was also groundwater associated with it. This basically reflects what the groundwater looked like at that time. I'll get into that more. As part of the first corrective action only permit, we cleaned up all the solid waste management units and closed them. So that was all done fairly quickly within the first couple of years.
And what were those comprised of? Was that like where drums had been buried?
It was from pre-RCRA operations where drums were stored on the ground and had leaked and gotten into the soil for the most part. It was also associated with some of the tank farms.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you about next, was like how many tanks were out here?
Which were pre-RCRA.
So they were single walled and...
So they didn't have the coating, they didn't have all the joints sealed, and so rainwater would flush anything into the ground. The biggest one that we're still dealing with was up here. It's SMU 1, Solid Waste Management Unit 1. It was the first one that was identified.
And what was the contaminant there?
And that was a storage tank farm for gasoline tanks.
Okay. Gasoline
was used to blend with the waste organics to get the BTU content.
So is there lead issues there then?
No.
Since
Nope. It was just that they leaked.
It's not leaded gasoline in it.
They just no. There's no. We have no metals issues on the site.
Okay.
But the tanks leaked. There wasn't a berm around it, and it just traveled down to the aquifer. So that was our...
Whoa, careful. What did you just say? It traveled down to the aquifer? Or?
Yes.
We haven't had any... we haven't had any detections in the aquifer at this
top
site.
of the groundwater, let's put it that way. Okay. To the shallow aquifer.
Shallow. This is the guy that... This is the president of Protect Our Aquifer. Yes, we don't want to trigger him.
So we completed cleaning up the solid waste management units fairly quickly in the first couple of years. We also then, on the groundwater, we installed a pump and treat system, which is comprised of 5 multi-phase extraction wells that are located just south of the property line.
And what was the extent of that treatment? Was that like hauling things off-site? Or?
It's pump and treat, which means you pump the water out, you strip the organics out of it, and at that time, that water then went to publicly owned treatment plants.
Yeah. And then what got stripped out of it got taken to Class 1 landfill? Or?
It goes in the air. It was under a minor air permit, minor source air permit. The reason that they're located here is that the predominant groundwater flow is southwest. And so what we were doing was we were intercepting the groundwater at the property line before, to prevent the contaminants from moving further south.
And where is the nearest MLGW well fields? Are those to the southwest? Is that why the water was going that way, or?
The Memphis doesn't have anything nearby.
They don't have anything nearby.
This is the well map.
Okay.
There's our site. These are private wells here. And there isn't anything that's within a quarter of a mile of the site.
I was just wondering, so the groundwater flow is naturally flowing towards the non-Kana? Yeah.
The MLGW wells, I believe, are over in this area.
And that green, the green on that map, that's all the bottoms of the non-Kana, or?
I believe that is the wetland inventory.
Yeah.
What, I'm sorry?
The national wetlands.
Okay.
So that's like all the wetlands around the non-Kana Creek. That explains why the groundwater was flowing that direction.
If you look at even this, which is where we started, that would take you to right there.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so this site has never had the potential of impacting drinking water. In addition, the contaminations in the shallow aquifer, and the shallow aquifer does not transmit to the drinking water aquifer. So there has never been an issue related to drinking water from this site.
Well, except for, I was going to say, we have now recently discovered that there's a lot of places where the clay, protective clay, was assumed to be, but it is absent. And one of those areas is along the non-Kana. So it's good that you guys stop this stuff from getting to the non-Kana, because it might have found a way into the aquifer, because there are places where big creeks like the non-Kana have cut holes through the clay just over the years, like scouring.
Like I say, this is pre-corrective action. Right?
Yeah.
And this is our site here, which is not a big site. Okay? So basically, we put that system in. As I say, we pumped, stripped, and discharged the POTW under permit to them. Then we had the drought. And what we saw was a continuous drop over a 5-year period of the water table, to the point where we have this smear zone that was never being contacted with the groundwater. In addition, because the water table was dropping, the flow of the water seasonally sometimes would head west instead of southwest. So we submitted a change, and we installed 6 reinjection wells. I should point out, we also, as part of the remediation of solid waste management unit 1, we went down 35 feet and put in a vertical crock, we call it. It's a 5-foot concrete culvert that's perforated in the lower section. And so we were pumping, in this time frame, we were pumping not only from the multi-phase extraction wells, but also from that crock, because that was a high area concentration for gasoline feed.
And did you do anything to, you're going to know these words better than me, but kind of excite the organics to move like they did at the Defense Depot site, where they actually put heater rods in to?
Nope.
You never have anything like that?
So what we ended up with was this large zone that wasn't, normally what happens is the groundwater goes up and down and it flushes the zone. Well, I never saw that. So we put in these reinjection wells, which were designed to force the flow back to the MPX wells. And then we put instead of pumping out of the crock, we put the excess groundwater into the crock and raised the entire groundwater level under the site. Very, very effective. I mean, you can see that. That's, we actually started that in 2015.
And the water you were re-injecting, that was the treated,
This is the treated
water?
Yep. And so, you know, we're recycling the water through the site. Very effective. We saw roughly order of magnitude drops in an 18-month period. And so that's basically where we are now. This is essentially current. We just did our sampling. We haven't got the results into a report yet, but this is current. You can see that these areas, these are all color-coded to level. The center here is 40,000 micrograms per liter. Now, the highest concentration on site is less than 1,000.
And so besides the gasoline, what were the other contaminants?
Okay, the other contaminants are, we've got some chlorinators. Dichloro, trichloro, tetrachloroethylene are the major ones. But they are not, and this is, and what you're seeing here is benzene. Okay, gasoline is BTEX, benzene, ethylene, benzene, ethylbenzene, toluene, and xylene. By far the most difficult one to deal with from a regulatory standpoint is benzene because it's got the lowest target level for achieving cleanup, 5 parts per billion. So this, what we do is we track benzene to track the overall performance.
That's kind of your indicator.
Right. We measure for everything. But the issues related to the other constituents are much, much lower. And as you remove the benzene, they go with it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
What is the vaccine?
What is what?
The vaccine.
Vaccine?
The
Benzene?
benzene.
Benzene. Gasoline, the primary constituents in gasoline are benzene, ethylbenzene, toluene, and xylene. Okay, benzene is one of the constituents. It's the most difficult. It's at the lowest level that you have to achieve cleanup. So that's the one we monitor, the one we track from a mapping standpoint. As you can see, we've gone from 40,000 to under 1,000 in this 5-year time frame. And the plume has pulled in. We've shrunk it back both from the west to the east and from the north to the south. We're really pleased with where this is.
How long do you expect to be there?
We expect that within this next 10-year period we'll be finished. Really hard to predict exactly. We use very sophisticated groundwater groundwater modeling techniques, but it always takes longer than the models say. So basically for the renewal of the corrective action only permit, it'll be exactly what we have here with one change. We're going to start introducing nutrients, basically fertilizer, nitrogen.
Let the bugs do some of the work for you.
The bugs are already doing work. We've got really, really strong natural attenuation, biological natural attenuation now. But by feeding nutrients to them, it accelerates that. It keeps them healthy. It allows them to grow and multiply, and accelerates the eating of the constituents. So that's it. Basically, it's 10 years of what we're doing, or 10 years or how long within that period it takes of what we're doing. Groundwater pumping, stripping, re-injection with nutrients added to aid in the biological degradation. Yeah.
I have a question. How deep was the plume at its deepest? And I know there's a lot of monitoring wells there. Are those operated by you, or are those operated by TDAC?
Well, we have a lot of monitoring wells.
Okay, so those are all your monitoring wells?
We've got well clusters here, over in this corner, all down the side. over here, down here.
Okay. You
And
got, what do you have, like 30 or 40 or something?
I think it's less than that. I think we're doing depth on
High
22,
high 20s maybe, mid
26 maybe,
Yeah.
I don't know if you'll
So
know, Greg.
at its deepest, how deep was the?
Well, we have well clusters. We have shallow, medium, and deep.
Yeah.
We've never seen anything in the deep. The medium zone is pretty much limited to this MW2 medium wall right there.
Okay.
And it's tiny.
What kind of depth is that?
I have to look at the chart.
How deep are the deeps?
We're not talking.
Really shallow.
Yeah.
Most of the contamination's really shallow, about 25 feet. That's where
Right.
that's where we installed it. The crock, it was 25 foot wide.
It's 5 feet wide, 35 feet deep.
Okay. So it never got.
But that 35 feet deep puts us almost 20 feet into the water table.
Yeah. So it never got down below 100 feet.
Oh, no, not even close.
Okay.
I think 60 feet maybe would have been 40 to 60 feet might have been the middle zone. I don't remember, it's been so long since I looked at it.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it either.
But below 80 feet, 80 to 120 feet, maybe might be. Don't prove me too wrong.
Yeah. You know, I was trying to study on this, and I couldn't find much information at all on the web. I mean, but I remember there, and I'm sorry to go backwards on you, because it sounds like it's going very well.
Yeah.
But there was a fire.
There was a fire. I don't know a lot about it. That was back when they were doing the, I'm not sure whether they were still doing the solvent recovery.
I think they were still doing that, and that's when we said we'd issue a permit, we limited it to 5 years. And I think they terminated operations before that 5-year period was out.
Yeah, but
So that's when we
that was back when they were doing solvent recycling, fuel blending.
That's like early 2000s or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
It was, I joined Perma-Fix in 2004, and it was before that.
Yeah.
So I'd say 2002 time.
Yeah, I think the fire happened in like '98 or something.
It could
Well,
have
there
been.
might have been two things, but when the tank blew up, it was like 2002 or something. When the top blew off
Okay.
and the fire, but they cleaned up all that because it did have some PAHs and stuff that we had to go back and clean the soil up.
In fact, the cleanup for that one, that was, they took out the tank farm and did the remediation of that solid waste management unit at that time. That was the only one I didn't get to do.
So I'm curious, and this might be a question for both of you guys, but Protect Our Aquifer and Sierra Club been working hand in hand with the University of Memphis. It's now taking on this grand study of like where all threats to the aquifer might come from, not necessarily from the point of view, well, I guess identify where we have contamination sources, but more importantly, trying to figure out where we may have an absence of the confining clay. Has there been any interaction on this project with the U of M? Have they looked at the data from these wells, or?
But there's an iron zone that they hit at about 25 feet that's pretty impermeable before it even goes to the end of the
Okay.
clay.
Yeah, I mean, we've got the cuts.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, is if they'd reached out and gotten well logs from you, or?
Well, the well logs don't really tell you much, but
Well, well logs in terms of if you've been running monitoring wells, that might tell them something about what the, annual records are in terms of the flow of water.
We know the lithography of the site. Yeah, we've got all the well logs, they've all been plotted. We put a lot of money into understanding the site and reporting to the site. More than
That's how they got the information on where exactly to to cluster their.
Oh, no, I'm not doubting that
Injection wells.
you did
so
a
that-
complete job. I'm wondering if there is any benefit from the data you've collected to the U of M to understand groundwater in this area of town. In terms of which way it flows, and I mean, it sounds like you've got interesting data on the impacts that the drought had in terms of the, you know, the level of the water table.
Is it possible for you to share those graphics with us, or are those?
They'll be in the permit application.
Still be in the permit.
Okay.
This is actually the package that went to Clayton as the part of the permit. And by the way, the deepest well we've got is the MW2 deep well, which is 140 feet.
Okay. I'm curious, we've got another site in town that we're anxious to get cleaned up. And I'm curious, we're counting on EPA to clean it up, and so we're worried about the time frame.
That's a Superfund site?
Yeah, this is the one at 3517 Southern Avenue. It's got
Okay.
perk down about 135 feet. But it's within the range of the name of the well field at U of M. Sheehan well field, yeah.
I'm assuming this was not a waste treater.
No.
Oh, no,
This
it's
is
a dry
a
cleaner.
dry cleaner that just poured stuff into the
So
ground.
like just dumping stuff out their back door.
But
I mean, you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Because the EPA doesn't have anybody else who will come in and take.
Right. Well, we've gone through all these. It's now on the national priority list, blah, blah, blah. And I'm kind of new to that whole process and a little frustrated with the timing. But I was curious, this is being done privately.
Yes,
Okay.
because Perma-Fix still owns the site.
Yeah.
So-
Can you share just a range of what you may have spent on this?
Well,
I have no idea.
a lot of money.
It's a lot.
I mean, like 5 million, 10 million?
Probably not that much, no.
Okay, so
It
it's,
says probably excess of 2, probably.
okay.
So-
Probably, but, you know, there's got to
Okay.
understand that the way that I manage these sites is different than even the big AE firms will do it for a PRP work.
Yeah. We need to get your number. Because this thing on Southern Avenue.
The way it would normally work is that you've got a company goes into bankruptcy, say a treatment company. There is contamination identified. EPA goes in and they do interviews and they pull records and they find names, anything like, oh, I remember Joe Blow's Trucking hauled a load out of here.
They're a liable party.
They send letters to everybody. You have joint and several liability for cleaning up this site. Do you want to form a performing group and negotiate with EPA? We always do. Because we get it done faster, we get it done cheaper as a performing group than EPA. It's typically
This
a
is
third
music.
to a-
This
to
is
half
music
of what they would do.
to my ears. Yeah. Okay.
But when I do it even less than they do it because we don't have all the consultants involved. I've got one consultant who is excellent that I use on 3 of the 4 sites. He's supporting me on this. His name is on here. The name is on here, Cameron Cole. They're out of Boulder, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
And the difference with them and the other AEs is that they used to be the in-house remediation group for railroads.
No more messy sites than railroads.
Well, but the other thing is they were in-house.
Yeah.
So they were looking for the most cost-effective way of getting everything done. They've got experience with every different technology. They're not married to any one of them. They went private quite a while ago, but they've maintained the same philosophy. So, I mean, I highly recommend
I'm
them.
very impressed with it.
Yeah. Their chief scientist, Sam Marquist, is phenomenal.
Yeah.
He'll talk your ear off, but he is phenomenal.
My brief take on this, having been a couple of years, is that there's gotta be more efficient ways to remediate. And I think that's what you're saying.
There are. For example, you know, putting these reinjection wells in was my idea. It wasn't Sam's. And I just got frustrated because I knew that when the water table came back, we'd be back at square one, basically. That this would go on for another 20 years. And I didn't want to wait. So I came up with the idea, we discussed it with Clayton. He was in agreement. We put it in and it's worked fantastically. I don't think you'll find anybody else doing this anywhere in the country.
Oh yeah, it makes sense to me.
It makes sense, that's why you won't see it. The AEs want to make money.
Yeah.
They want to make money, and
They want to make money.
then when you go to the EPA level thing, now you've got a ton of bureaucracy involved and paying all those people
And the other part with the
and lawyers.
EPA is, I mean, it's pretty bad, even as a performing group, paying their bills for oversight of what we're doing. But when they're doing it all themselves, it gets enormously expensive.